Good morning, welcome to the Get Unstuck Show. This morning I'm going to be talking about anxiety. So we're here every week on a Monday morning with top tips to help you elevate your health, to find ease and joy, with practical rituals and routines that can help you to feel more peaceful. And this is for health conscious women that are busy, that are looking to shift their mood, elevate their state and optimize their health. So I wanted to talk about anxiety today because it's super prevalent. You may be experiencing it at the moment, you may have experienced it or have tendencies to it, or you may be very close to somebody that suffers from it. And I think it's as important to talk about our mental health as it is our physical health. And of course, they go hand in hand with one another. So Hannah and so I'm Sarah and I'm one half of the duo. Hannah is my sister, and we work together with women, particularly through the pandemic, helping them to reduce anxiety. And the reason I'm really passionate about talking about anxiety is because I suffered for decades upon decades, and I tried to hide it and manage it on my own, and I've eventually got to the point where I'd say I would have thought I've overcome it, but actually it gets to a point where anxiety doesn't disappear because there are always stresses in the world, but you can find so many coping techniques to manage it on a daily basis. So for me, it used to look like daily panic attacks. I'd have really severe eczema. I would often get bladder infections. I would keep myself really small because I was afraid to speak out. I was very nervous, so I stayed in a job that I didn't particularly enjoy. I had lots of relationships that didn't serve me, so it really shows up in so many areas of our life, but my health in particular was suffering, and it doesn't feel very nice. So I'm going to give you the top 4 free tips that you can start doing today that are really simple, that will help you to manage your anxiety. And I wanted to talk about free tips because, well, we might be concerned about our finances, and this might be adding to our anxiety as well. We've got health anxiety as we move in towards the colder months. I know some of us are worried about getting ill, contracting viruses. We may be worried about our family. We might be worried about staying warm, putting the heating on, and the cost of the bills. So there are some really empowering things you can do for your health that do not cost any money at all. So the top tip is conscious breathing. So when we are anxious, we are over breathing. So we're breathing up in the chest area, and we might be breathing 25 to 30 breaths a minute. Not only is this extremely difficult on the body, so it puts the body under a lot of pressure because you've got a lot of processing to do, and it's very tiring for the body. If you suffer from anxiety, you'll know that your energy absolutely slumps and hits the floor after you've had those highly activating nervous system moments. So conscious breathing. Now, what does conscious breathing look like? You're already breathing, of course, but conscious breathing will look like a more full and slow breath. So taking your time to breathe, known as diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing. I'll give you an example now. So you make space for the lungs. So you might come to stand in a mountain pose or sit with an upright spine and your support against your back. And you'll start to breathe like you're filling up a glass of water with the lungs. So you would breathe the air down to the lower lobes of the lung. This will move the belly forward. Then you breathe a little bit more. This brings the ribs out to the sides. And then you breathe all the way to the top, which will fill the chest up. Now, the important thing about breathing the breath all the way down to the lower lobes of the lung is down here, it's more rich in nerve supply that supports the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest, the digestion and the heel section. And if you're an anxiety sufferer, you'll be overactivated in your sympathetic nervous system. So we want to use those easy techniques, slow the breath down, feed it down to the lower lobes of the lung, take your time to do your breath in. And then when you breathe out, just breathe out fully and completely. So you can empty through the mouth or through the nose. But when you breathe in through the nose, and that's really important. So taking your time to breathe like this will bring the breath down to maybe 12 breaths a minute, or even 5 breaths a minute. That's where we kind of want to get into a balanced state. So this will affect the nervous system. It's a powerful effect on your nervous system, which if you're suffering from anxiety, you'll have an overactive nervous system. So that's top tip number 1, conscious breathing. There are lots of other breath works that you can do as well. I'm a breath coach, so I would specialise in looking at things that are going to really support the parasympathetic nervous system, and these can be things like the cooling breath, they might be the golden thread breath, it might be moon breathing, and these are things that I teach inside the Holistic Health Circle, or if you ever work one-to-one with me. So I can show you those techniques. They're all in our membership site, or if you want any more information, then you can pop a comment to me. But for now, start with the belly breathing, the full diaphragmatic breathing. It's accessible, we can all do that one. Okay, so top tip number 2, look at your liquid intake. So I'm going to talk about caffeine. If you're a coffee lover, then so am I. I love the taste of it, love the smell of it, but my nervous system doesn't love it. So particularly a couple of weeks ago, I had very heavy work schedule, lots to do, and you might resonate with that feeling of, you know, anxiety can really feel like I've got a lot on my plate and I've got to power through this, and you go into overdrive. You can feel the nervous system going into activation. You can feel the anxiety levels creeping up. You feel like you want to take the coffee or the tea or the caffeine to kind of give you that boost in energy. But what it does, it will spike the blood sugar, it will spike the serotonin, and then of course you're going to have your crash. So that's where you're going to go on this roller coaster of emotions and energy. You might feel hangry, you might have that energy slump, the tiredness. But the main thing that caffeine does is a vasoconstrictor. So your blood vessels will be constricted, and this will elevate your blood pressure and your heart rate. And if you're an anxiety sufferer, your heart rate's already elevated, you know, and then the over breathing comes in. So I really invite you to look at your liquid intake, look at your caffeine, look at your alcohol. Sugar-laden drinks have also been linked to anxiety and depression. So start to think about what you can take away and change. So whether it's going into a decaf tea or coffee, but there are so many herbal teas out there that can really support your nervous system. So things like chamomile or mint, which is very cooling on the nervous system, valerian, lavender. We know that lavender is a great relaxant. You can diffuse that, you can smell it before you go to bed, but you can drink it as well. Lemon balm is very soothing. You've got holy basil, also known as tulsi tea, which is adaptogenic herbal tea. So these types of things, you might just switch out your morning drink for a herbal tea. And if you're already working with a herbal tea that really supports you, maybe you can drop a link in the comments so that other people can share it and can be inspired. So tell us what herbal teas that you like, that you know really support your nervous system and help you if you're feeling anxious. Okay, tip number 3, your free tip. Movement. Okay, if you are having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, you're going to feel it in the body, the nervous system. And if you think back to fight or flight, you can see an animal that is perhaps being about to be attacked by the tiger or the lion, but they have that near miss. Now they will stand in the field or the woodlands, wherever it is, and they will shake. And we think that's through fear, but it's actually that they're releasing the adrenaline in the body. They are releasing from the body that anxiety feeling. So if you're anxious, there's 2 types of movement you want to be doing. One is the movement that releases the anxiety. So the stress, the contractions, the adrenaline, the cortisol, you want to move that through your system. So it could be as easy as shaking, so shaking the body, bouncing and just shimmy and shaking. It might be something like tapping. So they use this in Qigong, where you make a light fist and you tap up and down the body and you'll feel the trapped energy. For me, around the solar plexus, around the digestive system, you can do this tapping. It might be that you go for a run. You know, if you're feeling really stressed out and you're feeling the anxieties in the body, you might go out for a run or a fast-paced walk. or it could be a yoga class, and that was really what helped shift the needle with my anxiety. So I would go to an asana class, like a sun salutations yoga, that would help me to focus and release the anxiety from your body. However, the really important thing is you need to bring in the restorative movement as well. So you'll need to bring in movement that supports relaxing your nervous system and giving you that parasympathetic support. So this more likely looks like restorative yoga, or something that brings the heart rate down. Maybe it's qigong, maybe it's tai chi, and yeah, this will really help to cool the nerves and just tone the nervous system for you. Okay, so that was 3. 2 types of movement. Number 4 is track your cycles. So we do talk about the moon phases here on the Unstuck Show, and today, on Monday the 5th of September, we're in a waxing gibbous. So remember, if you simplify the moon phases, you've got a waxing phase and a waning phase. And the waxing phase is where we're building energy and we're working towards a full moon. And we're 59% full at the moment. We'll have the full moon next weekend. And if you're an anxiety sufferer, the full moon can be a little overstimulating for us. So if you think about the moon being full, there's much more light around because the full moon is reflecting sunlight, and it can affect your sleep because there's more light around, it's more stimulating. And what we find is often we'll feel a little more angry or agitated around the time of the full moon. You might see that in other people as well. So that term lunatic certainly comes around the time of the full moon. And I've spoken to a lot of mental health workers, and they say we notice our clients or our patients are really suffering around the time of the full moon. So if you know it's coming, then you can mitigate the reactions to it. So you can make sure that you reduce your caffeine, or make sure that you book that yoga class or that movement class, or make time for it. So tracking the cycles is really important if you're an anxiety sufferer. So you might track the moon cycles, and you can follow us to find those out. Or you might track your own inner cycles as well. So if you're a woman that bleeds and you have a bleeding cycle, track your cycles, because it might be your inner autumn that really spikes the anxiety levels. So you can use an online tracker. I use Clue, but there's lots of really good ones out there. And you also, if you're a woman that doesn't bleed, you'll still have an inner cycle, but you can use the phases of the moon to kind of track your moods, your emotions and your energy. So if you're interested in having support in tracking your cycles, this is our free weekly show, so you can find those out. But we do offer moon ceremonies within the Holistic Health Circle. So we'll have a full moon ceremony, and we'll look at offering support in release. So we'll be doing breathwork and meditation and journaling and practical tips for diet and body that can help you to release. But very excitedly, we do have an in-person full moon ceremony this weekend coming. So we're hosting a retreat on the Kent coast, and we have a few spaces left. So we'll be doing lots of things that can support your mental and your physical health. So we'll be looking at nutrition for the autumn season, so you can eat in line with the seasons, which will really help to support the body, help to support nourishment, help the mind. We'll be going for coastal walks. We have a lovely hot tub, so we can maybe go for a wild sea swim and then jump in the hot tub afterwards. And you'll be around lots of like-minded souls that can support you. So if you want any more details, drop me a PM or a comment and I'll send them to you. But I wanted to share the quote that might support you. So when we're suffering from anxiety, we often present and say, oh, I'm an anxiety sufferer, or I'm an anxious person. And we can really merge with this suffering, this condition. But it isn't the whole of you. It might just be something that you'll experience a part of you. So the quote is, or you can use this as a mantra, anxiety isn't you. It's something moving through you, and it can leave out of the same door that it came in. So you don't have to fully embody this anxiety. And I use that, I say I can be prone to experiencing anxiety, but it's not the whole of me. In this moment, I'm not feeling anxious, and I know that it may come to knock on the door, but I'll have those tools and techniques where I can face it and say, hi anxiety, I know you, I recognise you. I wouldn't say you're an old friend, but I'm familiar with you, and I know how to greet you with love and compassion. I know that, I'm going to ease off those caffeinated drinks. I'm going to take some slow conscious breaths. I'm going to bring in some movement to help me. And I'm going to be aware of where I am at my cycle, so I'm ready to meet you if I know that you're impending. So I hope those tips have helped you. If you know someone suffering from anxiety, please drop a comment and tag them into this post or invite them into this group so that they can get these free techniques. It's really important in this time that we support each other. But if you're ready to go a little bit deeper and you want some further support, we've got the Holistic Health Circle membership open at the moment, and you can join. It's subscription free, so you just come in and join. There's no obligation, but there's lots of tools and techniques, including the breathwork, the movement, the nutrition, and the moon ceremonies, alongside so much more. So I'm wishing you a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Monday for the Get Unstuck Show.